DeFi community, what's up? Kevin Moeller here with Defiancy, your decentralized finance agency. And in today's Defiancy Insight, we're going to talk about several things. Hey, there was a Fed hearing today. The market has reacted, I'm sure you've seen. What does that mean? What does that mean going forward? What should we expect? Or should we go into a bull market now? Or is there going to be concerns tomorrow? What's happening in that? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to give you an update on what's hot in DeFi and decentralized finance. And also what's going on in the world of NFTs. So I'm going to get myself right out of the way. Let's get right into today's Defiancy Insight.
What is going on, everybody? This is Andrew from Defiancy. So today we've had a couple of interesting events. Before we get into what we want to talk about, primarily with the Fed hearing, let's talk a little bit about, and by the way, it wasn't a Fed hearing, it was actually a Senate hearing, but let's talk about the Bitcoin market structure first, right? Overall market structure. So today we got a nice little pump here. You're looking at this white candle, and it's been pretty due. We've been pretty due for this. A lot of people suspected that this was going to happen. This is called a short squeeze. Now, it's not a major short squeeze, but we definitely had some liquidated short sellers that caused the price to move up here. So I want to get into really what is moving the price of Bitcoin right now. Okay. Before that, let me just draw some lines here. Notice this key level of support, which is roughly 40K. It actually touched down more closer to 39K a couple of days ago, and we saw a vicious buy up here. Notice the way that candle looks. Anytime you see a big wick like that, that means that people were very aggressive to buy. Okay, that's a good sign. That means that if we revisit this area, it could likely be a situation like we had down here at 29K. Notice these candles, how vicious they are? Boom. So what this looks like, or what this means when you look at a candle like this, it means price went all the way down here, but before the day closed, it went all the way back up. That's a sign that sellers were like, no, we are buying, we are pushing this price up. When you don't see that, it means that you're gonna probably go lower. So this means that we have a firm bottom, at least temporarily. And buyers are taking notice of that, and we're starting to see price move up a little bit. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, guys, but the reality is this pump is not very impressive. This little pump we've had today, if you even want to call it that. Let me explain why. So whenever the price moved down here, you see this big wick and it immediately jumps up. And then it just starts to kind of sit sideways. Well, this big candle here, which is very aggressive if you're a day trader. This means a lot. This doesn't mean a whole lot if you're, macro trader, right? But a lot of people will mistake this price action up as a reversal, as a change in direction, as a momentum shift. The reality is a lot of movement up from this area is from short sellers closing their positions. What that means is if I short up here, meaning I am selling the asset to make money as it goes down, at some point I have to buy it back. Okay, so when people close their shorts, it will move the price up, but it's not very real, if that makes any sense. It's real as far as the price moving, but it doesn't constitute any kind of significant volume really in terms of momentum shift in the other direction. It's just a temporary one. So I'm not expecting us to just break out and go parabolic again. Okay, guys, I actually expect us to be pretty mute and pretty docile, if you will. Not that we won't have moments of volatility in both directions, but I think we're just going to go sideways for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if this pump did keep going a little bit. Maybe we get up to resistance around this area here. If you see here, this is 45K. That would be like the next stop, really, a real test, I should say. But we will definitely keep an eye on this, and if there's any kind of narrative changes, anything to really be aware of in terms of big movements ahead, we'll let you know. But this is not really the time, I think, to expect any kind of dramatic movements. But let's talk about why, this candle really happened, a little bit more details in terms of why price moved up. Of course, I stated, that it's the derivatives market primarily, short sellers closing their positions. But why did the short sellers have to close their positions? Well, it's primarily due to this Senate hearing that we had today. And I watched it. It was very boring, and I didn't think it was very substantive. But he had a couple of sentences, Jerome Powell, that is, the Fed chairman, which prompted the market to move in the up direction, forcing those short sellers to liquidate their positions or buy, right? And all he said really to make the price move up was that we are going to stay in a era of low rates. So the markets have been dumping recently, both the traditional financial system and the crypto markets, because of rates rising, or the planned action of raising rates. Okay, well, he's saying that rates are going to stay low, right, for a long time. That's pretty much what he's saying, but relative to what? Relative to what? Because any kind of rate increase is bad, right? So it does sound good if you're one of these people that, if you're heavy in stocks right now, that's what you want to hear. If you're heavy in crypto, you definitely want to hear that rates are going to stay low. So I don't think this is actually going to be that great for crypto, though, in the long term. I think that regardless of really what happens right now with the Fed, they can't really, this is my opinion, by the way, this is not DeFiancy's opinion. I do believe that inflation is going to be a significant problem, and they're going to be forced to raise rates probably higher than they think right now, if they really want to tackle the problem. Now, I'm not an expert on inflation, but to me, it just checks out basic common sense and math that they're going to have to raise those. So I'm expecting a change of tone if the inflation numbers and the reports coming out in the next few weeks are bad, right? Or if job numbers, if they get bad again, you're going to see if job numbers stay bad, they're going to keep this tone, I guess. But if job numbers stay good and inflation's still a problem, they're going to have to raise them higher than they want right now. So anyway, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but there's really only a few takeaways. He said that rates are going to stay low, but relative to what is the question. I think that they're going to be significantly higher than they are now, but they're still going to be significantly lower than they were in the 90s, right? Or in the past, really, right? Or they're going to be significantly lower. I think is what I said, relative to the past. Okay, so let's check out some other stuff. We're just going to still talk about the market structure here. So a lot of people want to know, is this the bottom, right? Is this the bottom of the market? And look, we're not fortune tellers. We're not going to act like we have a crystal ball. But I don't actually think this is the bottom, personally. I think the bottom could be quite a bit lower, maybe 30K, potentially lower than that. But I don't think we're going to go there anytime soon. I think that this 40K level is going to be fiercely defended for a while. But if traditional markets, and this is really what it all depends on, if traditional markets go down, crypto will follow. And at some point, if the traditional markets go down far enough, we will breach the 40K level. No question in my mind. So I'm not going to give a bottom number here, but I just don't think this is one. I do think we're in a bear market. I do think it could last a while. And I don't think there's any reason to get excited right now about any kind of reversal or any kind of narrative changes. So in terms of things other than Bitcoin or assets other than Bitcoin in the crypto markets, one thing to pay attention to is if you look at pretty much all of the altcoins, they're still tremendously up right now versus the US dollar over the last year. I mean, it's pretty astounding. I can go to pretty much any coin in the top 200 and look at how much it's gained over 2021, and it's ridiculous for pretty much every asset, which means there is a lot of unrealized profits, and unrealized profits are a liability. Okay, unrealized profits are a liability. I think that basically the longer these assets stay up like they are, the more the more problems you could potentially have having in your portfolio. Many of these altcoins are going to have big sell-offs, is what I'm saying. If they don't, it would defy every other crypto cycle we've had. Alts always have a very long recovery, or a very long drawdown and recovery, unfortunately. So I do think that pretty much every altcoin right now will be down significantly over the next year. That could change, but if we look at the current circumstances right now, with the Feds having to raise rates, even though they're saying that they're going to stay relatively low, I still think it's going to cause the stock market to at least be timid. And it just it being timid, it's going to affect crypto. Crypto it's a risky asset, okay? And it's always going to be, if it's in your portfolio, it's going to be the first thing you're going to de-risk on, right? Because it's so volatile. So I'd agree with this statement. I do think that max pain is coming for altcoins, and it's going to take a while. So be aware that if you're holding altcoins, be prepared to hold them, if you're going to hold them, through quite a bit of a drawdown, in my opinion. Okay, one thing I was supposed to mention earlier when we were talking about Powell, Jerome Powell, he did mention during the Senate hearing that the Fed has a report on cryptocurrency that's going to be coming out. Now, I do believe that this will move the markets tremendously if there's a lot of negative, negative things in that, in this report about crypto, derogatory things. But there could be a lot of positive things. So I'm open-minded, but I'm wanting people to understand that this is almost surely going to move the markets in one direction. So keep your eye out for this one. I'm actually not sure when this comes out. I guess they said within weeks. They actually didn't get a date, now that I'm remembering. So stay tuned for this. This is going to be a big deal. All right, let's move on to DeFi. Okay. So we're pretty much where we've been over the last few months. DeFi has been very, pretty much in limbo, kind of stagnant. We're not really seeing any real growth here like we were seeing in the previous months during 2021. This is to be expected. We had parabolic growth through 2020 and 2021. A lot of DeFi protocols have tremendous amounts of capital locked in them, tremendous valuations, and we're going through right now part of the bear market of the cycle, really. I mean, DeFi has been in a bear market for a while, actually. I mean, it's really been on the downtrend. Pretty much all the significant DeFi tokens like Maker, Aave, Uni, they've all been pretty much downtrending. A few of them have kind of decoupled from that, Curve being one of them, and a few others, but for the most part, DeFi has actually performed pretty poorly. But we don't think this is going to be the case forever. I think that this is a fantastic opportunity to buy these, even though I know I just told you that altcoins are going to do pretty poorly. It's not guaranteed over the next year. I'm saying that logically likely to be significant drawdowns on most alts. But the good thing about DeFi is they've already had pretty big drawdowns. Look, they'll go down more. Trust me. What I've learned about previous bear markets is you can always go lower and you can always go higher. So I don't want to act like we can't go lower on these. I think we will, but I do think that in the grand scheme of things, these are going to be seen as extremely cheap assets, especially something like Aave with all it has going on, and it's valued at like a few $1 billion. It's quite impressive that, or I should say it's quite promising, I think, for people to get in it because it's so small relative to the value it brings to the world, in my opinion. I am a huge fan of Aave. That's my favorite protocol, so I'm biased. But I do believe that buying these tokens now and just through the bear market, it's going to yield tremendous gains over 5 years, if not less than that. It could be a few years before these things go mainstream. But one way to capture a lot of the value as things go up is to look at or to invest in what's called the DeFi Pulse Index, DPI. And that's what this is right here. I'm going to show it to you and show you how to get it. So the DeFi Pulse Index is basically like an ETF, all right? It just has a basket of these DeFi tokens that I was just showing you. It has like pretty much the quote unquote best of the blue chips, right? And they use, you know, math and you know, insight into how they actually put these things together. It's not like they just randomly pick DeFi tokens. Like most of it at one point was Uni. A lot of it is, I think, Aave, Compound, Curve, things like that, right? Basically, the good performers, the ones that have good market caps, and have maybe just a good future outlook, like Harvest Finance, for example. I'm not sure why they put that in, but it's a very small coin, and it probably has a good future, maybe. I don't know, but they use a bunch of different things to put these, to choose which assets that they put in there. That's what I'm trying to get across. And it's probably going to do really well. So this is great for people that don't want to have to like keep up with all this stuff and figure out which ones to buy. You just buy a basket and you're just going to get the average of them as it goes up. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. To actually get this, let me go back over here. Before I show you that though, how to get it, look at its performance. It went really high in May. It went up to like $600, and now it's just been, you know, pretty much just dying the whole time. This kind of looks like the overall market or Bitcoin, really, doesn't it? So I do think this is a good opportunity. Buy low, sell high. Okay. When people are afraid to buy something, it might be a good idea to look into it. Okay, that's always been my investment strategy. And this is like a multi-year thing, right? If you buy this, plan on holding it for a while. You're not going to get any good returns in the near term. Okay, so let's show you how to get it. You can go over to indexcoop.com and you can go to their app here and you can actually buy it this way. So you connect your MetaMask and yeah, that's pretty much it. And by the way, they have more than just a DPI. They actually have a metaverse index. So this has like a bunch of metaverse tokens in it, which is kind of interesting. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we have in DeFi. I'm not going to talk too much about NFTs, but I do want to cover one story that is super interesting. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Sorry guys, finding my tab. So we had a very big shift, or a very big event, I should say, in the NFT world that is unprecedented. And that has to do basically with the Pudgy Penguins project, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a big project that launched really during the peak of the NFT bubble. I shouldn't say bubble, but the big hype wave back in like August. And it's been interesting because it was a very promising project that gained a lot of, just a lot of attention. A lot of people were interested in it. And a lot of projects with really less attention and less of a community ended up doing way better. And the reason why is because the Pudgy Penguins management, the people that created it, and I think this is just objectively true, just did a really shitty job, excuse my language, and effectively pissed off the Pudgy Penguins community dramatically. And they held a vote. Actually, the person, the founder that got removed, which we're going to get into that, actually held a vote. He actually proposed the vote saying, oh, you guys really don't like me? Well, vote to see if I stay or not. He wanted to get out anyway. So basically, the founders took all of the money that was raised from the sales, the initial sales, the minting, and they basically spent it all, from what I understand. And Pudgy Penguins now has basically been forked, which is a very interesting concept in blockchain. Where let's say Ethereum, like some things happen and people don't agree with what's going on the Ethereum blockchain, you can actually fork it. That's why we have Ethereum Classic. So Pudgy Penguins actually forked into what's called wrapped penguins. Okay, and I'm not going to talk too much about that, but wrapped, it's basically the original NFT that's wrapped, kind of like wrapped Bitcoin. And a lot of people are trying to promote this wrapped Pudgy Penguins project as a DAO, because the royalties that are programmed into Pudgy Penguins are always going to be there. So the original founders that quote unquote screwed over the community, which objectively they kind of did, or they did, they're going to get paid every time a Pudgy Penguin is traded. Okay, so they're trying to wrap them and then basically take away that royalty. Now, there isn't really a consensus with Pudgy Penguins. The reason if they're going to go with the wrapped penguins as the new Pudgy Penguins, or if they're going to just kind of keep the current structure or the current model of the NFT and basically just have better management. Someone bought Pudgy Penguins. They sold it. I don't know how much they sold it for, but well into the millions. So Pudgy Penguins right now is running under new management, and I expect for this project to rebound very aggressively. I think Pudgy Penguins is the best crypto meme. It has the potential to be the best crypto meme, much like Bored Apes, to be honest. Just people like penguins, they're cute. I'm expecting to see these things all over media and in entertainment at some point. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much all I have. We're going to be putting out some more content as the markets evolve. I really want to get into some more in-depth videos on like DeFi protocols that I love, and some of the newer things going on, especially with like layer 2. So stay tuned for that. But until then, happy hunting, friends.